plateau or grow? That is the topic for today's episode. And I believe that plateau or growth is connected to three important aspects. Now, before I get there, let's talk about how the dictionary defines plateau. It means to reach a state or a level or really of little or no growth, or we might describe it as decline, especially if you stop increasing or progressing. Plateau can also mean to remain at a stable level of achievement. In other words, you've leveled off. That's plateau. And of course, growth, we expect upward trajectory. So when we think about picking our path, plateau or growth, it's important that we understand and reflect, where are we right now? Because I imagine that everyone listening or watching this episode would always appreciate consistent increase, whether that's consistent increase in income, consistent increase in lead generation, consistent increase in depth of relationship, consistent increase. You get the idea. So let's talk about how we can set a course of growth rather than feeling stuck on a plane of plateau. First aspect, consider whether you are goal conscious or growth conscious. Goal conscious, it's where we are making an effort to focus on achieving a result, or simply to put a check next to I've achieved something. And in business and life, this can take on many forms. It could be translated to making it to a next leadership level or a promotion. It could be translated into earning president's circle, or a specific awards area of your business. It could be making a certain number of sales in what you do. That is goal consciousness. And achieving, I am an achiever. If you've ever done the Marcus Buckingham Strengths Finder, that is one of my top 5. So I can find myself being very goal conscious and really looking at just working to achieve the next thing. And when we're goal conscious, we oftentimes plateau more and longer than those who are growth conscious. You might go, wait, what? So let's talk about growth conscious. Someone who is growth conscious sets goals, but there's always something more important than just the accomplishment or the achievement of a goal. So what I want to do is I want to give you kind of a side-by-side look of goal conscious versus growth conscious. Okay. So goal conscious is locked into a destination. Okay. Our eye is on the prize. That is the destination. Growth conscious is focused on the journey, the big picture. Growth conscious folks know that success comes through a process. It's not just where you're going, it's who you're becoming. Goal conscious is motivate people by placing a target in front of them, and then we drive them to achieve it. So if you're a leader and you're goal conscious, you've set a destination and you're driving your people towards that destination, whereas a growth conscious is more concerned about maturing their people. The outcome is not the sole determinant of success. Goal conscious is more concerned with saying, look at me, look at what I've accomplished, regardless of the cost. Growth conscious, more concerned with improvement, with progress, and learning the right lessons. Goal conscious, success is seasonal. If things in the business get hard, they're likely to quit. If things in the business are easy, They're very excited. Growth conscious see learning as lifelong. No matter what is going on, they press on toward their potential at that moment in time. But goal conscious, the path I'm traveling matters more than the place I'm going. Often I arrive and I hate who I've become in the process. Whereas growth conscious, the place I'm going matters greatly. And the methods I use to get there to determine the quality of my life in the process matters greatly. And so, goal conscious, growth conscious. So, moving away from only being goal conscious towards growth consciousness takes work. And being an achiever and a goal conscious person that I am, I had to face the harsh reality that that's really my bent. If I'm not thinking about it, if I'm not really working to be self-aware, then I'm a goal conscious business owner. And over the years, I've had many goals that I've worked to achieve. I remember when I came home from teaching, I had a goal of replacing my teaching income within a 3-year period within a direct sales environment. We had a goal of Fred quitting his job and being able to be home where we could both be entrepreneurs. And he was able to do that. And then we had a goal of replacing Fred's income, and we were able to do that. And then we had a goal of reaching senior leadership, and we hit that. And we were hitting all of these goals, and what it did is it created this place of ripeness, as I'm going to call it, for our business to go into plateau. And that is exactly what happened. And as we realized, we're at a plateau. We are not growing any longer. The things that we did to hit those goals that allowed us to grow were now not sufficient to break away from the plateau that we were on to have another round of growth. And so we had to really look at the next stage that I want to get to, which is our influence. What is the influence we have, and how are we utilizing that influence? I spent 19 years in the direct sales space, building people, building teams and leaders. And you truly are leading a volunteer army. And after many years of growth, when we hit that plateau, one shift that I changed or made in order to break away or, I guess, rise above the plateau was just one simple and very powerful thing. I changed how I was referring to the people that I led. I started calling them my team rather than downline, rather than employees, rather than what is it for you? Because when I used the word team, when I referred to those I was leading, it was a reminder for Elizabeth that the people that I lead are not beneath me. They are not behind me. They are not underneath me, and for that matter, less than me. They are valued team members. And it helped me also to remind myself, an acrostic you've probably heard, together everyone achieves more. So whether you're a CEO, a CFO, a COO, a middle manager, a sales director, a VP, whatever your title, when we see the people that we lead and we recognize that together everyone achieves more, it is incredibly powerful for the cultivation of influence. I just want to encourage you, never underestimate the power of one small change in your life and business. So that leads me to the second aspect of pick your path, plateau or growth, and that is having intentional influence. There are 3 basic truths about influence. Everyone has influence. Everyone, be it positive or negative. Second thing, we choose the nature of our influence. People don't make us who we are. They simply reveal who we are. Well, I'm going to say that again. People don't make us who we are. They reveal who we are. When my children were small and we were in that toddler stage and lost shoes and poopy diaper, and I'm trying to get to an appointment, and my timeline is no longer my timeline because there are things outside of my control and I'm angry. Oh yeah, my kids didn't make me angry. My children revealed that I was dealing with a lot of anger. How we respond to what comes our way determines the nature of our influence. And back when my children were small, I had to really face the facts that I was an angry person. I didn't like being out of control. That feeling that I had as a result of raising small children, and I loved my boys, still do for that matter. But now, as a leader, as someone, wherever you are, the space in which you are serving, how you respond to what comes your way really determines the influence that you are exerting, positive or negative. And the other aspect of a basic truth about influence is we have to work to earn the influence that we desire to have. And this is truly a personal growth opportunity. Influence and personal growth are intertwined. You stop growing, your people stop growing. You are the law of your lid. And I have a whole nother, there's a video on my YouTube channel on the law of the lid. But if you're here, your people will typically come in just below you. You cannot take others to a place you have never been yourself. You will be your biggest limiting factor. The other aspect here about the connection between influence is relational development. Unless we are willing to spend time with someone, we are going to be hard pressed to have the opportunity to actually influence them, to tell them maybe what they need to hear versus what they want to hear. This is why when I'm coaching a leader, we really focus on what we call personal conferences in Southwestern Consulting, but actually having one-on-one time, not just you just walked by my door and we had a brief conversation or we just had a 5-minute phone call. No, we are spending time with someone so that we earn the right to exert influence. So let me just give you 5 ways that you can gain influence for those where you want to have that influence. 5 ways to gain the influence you want to have. First, know what's important to you. Influence is rooted in your values. So you've got to know what brings meaning and purpose to your life, and really assessing, and not really assessing, determining, is the family that you have within your business life important to you? If they're not important to us, then we're less likely to do the things needed in order to exert influence. The other aspect is you want to live what's important to you. So you've got to know what's important to you, then you can live what's important to you, because you will influence through your actions as you are living. For me, what's important to me as a faith-based entrepreneur is God, my relationship with God, my time spent with God. Fred as my husband, the father of our boys, my life partner, my business partner. He's important. My family, those being not just my sons, but my extended family. And then I really care about those that I work with in business and I'm doing life with through business, be it a colleague, a client, someone I network with. And while my business provides for my family, I don't want to just pursue it at the expense of my relationship in those areas of God, Fred, family. So taking time daily, taking time weekly to be purposeful in living what's important to me and making priority for what's important to me is necessary if I want to gain influence for what I want to, and I want to influence what I want to have. So how are you living? What's important to you? And how are you living what's important to you? Another thing I want to encourage you when it comes to gaining influence is use all possible avenues to leverage your influence. I you're always on call. I mean, how you dress, how you speak, how you live, people are watching, and I wholly um, support people living into who they are, right? Like, so I like structured clothing. You might like loose clothing. It's not about we have to dress in only this approved way, but it's you being aware that when you are out, you are being watched. People are paying attention to you. And this really brings up a good question. Are you living compartmentally? What I mean is, if you have a team or you have a business, do the people that you lead that are watching you, do they see you act one way at work while acting another way at home? That would be one example. So it's important that we really ask ourselves, where are we living compartmentally to the negative effect of the influence we desire to have? Another thing is you can choose those who can best multiply your influence to others. Like, it so matters who you spend time with. Your goal, especially if you lead, is to be developing successors, people to be able to elevate, to grow onto the next thing. Really looking at who has the potential to be a leader. And that way you become a river, not a reservoir. A reservoir just holds water and oftentimes becomes stagnant. A river is vibrant and running and flowing. It can overcome barriers. It can change embankments in order to, for that water to rush to to the final destination. So it's important that we are cultivating the rivers, and helping people to grow beyond where they are. And again, if you're a leader, teach people to reproduce themselves. Teach people to reproduce themselves. What I've realized when I look back on that season of plateau that I started in this earlier in this episode is that I needed to do a better job of teaching people to reproduce themselves by really settling in my mind what was actually important to me and then living it. Then I could look for and find and leverage creative ways to advance my influence or to multiply my effort through that reproduction. And it's so cool now to think all these years later that has led to my career as a professional sales person, a coach, a trainer, a speaker, helping people to find their influence and to creatively leverage ways to multiply it. And then really that leads me to the final thing I wanted to share. The third aspect of how we break off the plateau back into growth is that we recognize there's accidental growth and then there's purposeful growth. I want you to think about the McDonald's brothers. They opened a restaurant with lots of items on the menu and had some success. But after studying other restaurants in the area, they decided to limit their menu, get this, to only 9 items and really focus on customers that were on the go. And they had huge success. They opened a handful of other franchises, but were very accidental in their growth because they really had not established a real growth plan. Ray Kroc went out to California to visit the McDonald's brothers, and he had this great vision for the possibility of what they had developed. And he worked to partner with them, and he became their franchising agent. He developed a growth plan with a vision of seeing McDonald's dotted all over the United States off of every major highway and interstate. Ray Kroc, he was purposeful in his growth. What would it take for you to have growth? Are you right now just accidentally growing? Or are you really focused on purposeful growth? And, and to that example of the McDonald's, I think about my friend and client, Rudy Federico, who is a franchise consultant. And his heart, his passion is to do exactly what Ray Kroc did for the McDonald's brothers, either to help someone who wants to franchise know how to franchise and do it successfully, or to help introduce people to existing franchises and help them launch it successfully. So if that's you, you're maybe wanting to look at, oh, how could I franchise? Or maybe I'd want to buy a franchise. Again, there are people out there just like Rudy that can assist you in doing that. But are you being accidental in growth, or are you being purposeful? What would it take for you to actually get into growth mode? Because it does require a decision to be purposeful. A couple of things that Fred and I have done to be purposeful in our 23 years of entrepreneurism is to search out people like the Rudy Federicos of the world. I think about Randy and Elizabeth Draper, and when in our direct sales day, they were at the top of the company. And we asked questions, we sought their counsel, and then we looked for how we could implement what we were learning from their experience, to not just reinvent the wheel, but to learn from people who have gone before us. That's the key. It's not just go out and ask questions. It's actually act on what you have learned. Another thing that we have done to have growth is get a coach. I have 2 coaches right now, and it makes such a huge difference. They see things that I otherwise would not be able to see. They can ask me questions to get me to reflect and to think so that I can determine where I need to grow. And it's why I'm so passionate about providing opportunity for people to engage in coaching. But we've talked about picking your path, plateau or growth. We've looked at 3 areas. Are you goal conscious or growth conscious? Are you being unintentional or intentional in building your influence? And then are you engaging in accidental growth, or are you being purposeful in your growth? I want to challenge you before the end of the month or the year, depending on when you listen to this, ask yourself 3 very important questions. And for my faith-based folks, I would really encourage you, ask God to help you to be open to receive the response to, number 1, are you goal conscious or growth conscious? Number 2, how would you rate your influence? And what can you do to increase it? Number 3, do you have a purposeful growth plan for your business? Based on how you answered those, I want to encourage you, ask for help, and then do whatever it takes to become who you need to be in order to break free of the plateau and to grow. Become growth conscious. And again, for my faith-based, seek God's best for your life as well as the lives of your team members, understanding that the place where you are going, where I am going, is critically important. And the quality of my life to get there, the process matters. Become a person of influence. Seek to point team members to really live out, to not only define what's important to them, but to live out what's important to them. Become a person of purposeful growth. Seek to develop a plan for growth. And who will you seek out for counsel? Who will you allow to hold you accountable in order to grow? Here's what I know. When you choose to be growth conscious, grow your influence, and be purposeful in a growth plan, you are on the path to becoming who you were created to be. I want to encourage you today. Develop and cultivate thinking that matters so that you can live a life that matters.